Now, the race for the 2024 U.S. presidential elections has begun. In the latest, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley has announced her candidature for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. The news was expected, as for weeks she has been hinting towards it. Haley made this announcement in a video address, which she released on a Tuesday.
In much of the Democratic Party, it's now fashionable. You should know this about me. I don't put up with bullies. And when you kick back, it hurts them more if you're wearing heels. I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
Now, Haley will square it off against a one-time boss and former President Donald Trump, who announced his candidature back in November. She served as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations under his presidency. Donald Trump, in fact, has praised her capabilities and has expressed his confidence in her.
Nikki Haley, ambassador to the United Nations, has been very special to me. She's done an incredible job. She's a fantastic person, very importantly, but she also is somebody that gets it.
Following her announcement to run for presidential nomination, Haley's supporters wished her luck. Among those looking to back her are former Trump supporters.
And success. The former vice president, this time, it would be Pelosi, Sanders, and the squad. Their vision for...
I think that's amazing. She did a great job here as governor in South Carolina. I think she'd make a fine president.
Go for it, Nikki. You did a great job in South Carolina. You did a great job at the UN. Love to get you in the White House.
Now, daughter of Indian immigrants, Nikki Haley was also quoted saying, "People say the promise of freedom is just made up. Some think our ideas are not just wrong, but racist and evil. Nothing could be further from the truth." Her remarks come at a time when the issue of racism is on the agenda of U.S. politicians.
I was the proud daughter of Indian immigrants. Not black, not white. I was different. But my mom would always say, your job is not to focus on the differences, but the similarities. And my parents reminded me and my siblings every day how blessed we were to live in America.
Now, she's portrayed herself as a young alternative who can offer a fresh perspective to the Republican Party and the country. Haley also attacked the current President Joe Biden's record, saying it's abysmal. While Haley is the first Republican to join the presidential race after Donald Trump, according to reports, she's not going to be the last one. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Trump's Vice President Mike Pence could also join this race. And how the presidential race will pan out for U.S. politics, only time will tell.
And 3 to 5 feet of storm surge in some areas. Palm Beach,
Now, to discuss this further, we're now being joined by Stephen Golub, who's a political analyst and writer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Now, what's your assessment and take on Nikki Haley's candidature? How do you think she will be able to offer a fresh Republican perspective?
Well, let me cut to the chase. I think she's basically running for vice president. And that's not a criticism of her per se. She's got good conservative credentials. She's articulate. She's presentable. She has both domestic experience and, by virtue of being UN ambassador, international experience. She's got executive experience, having been governor of South Carolina. She's demonstrated some courage as a politician. But this is not the Republican Party that we saw under George W. Bush, which was very welcoming to minorities. This is the Republican Party of Donald Trump, which is a large portion of his support and of the party right now, even at the grassroots level, is composed of white nationalism and a certain amount of sexism as well. So for all of her qualifications as a legitimate conservative, she, I believe, is really entering this race because whoever gets the nomination might then turn to her as more of a moderating influence or moderating symbol to use in the general election against the Democrats.
All right. Well, thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, with her squaring off against Donald Trump, I know it's too early and you think that she is eyeing the position of vice president, but how do you see the presidential race panning out? Of course, as I mentioned earlier, Ron DeSantis and Mike Pence may also announce their candidacy. How do you assess this?
Well, it's not an accident that Donald Trump, in a sense, endorsed her candidacy, although he obviously didn't endorse her for the presidency. He's running for it himself. Donald Trump's best chance of securing the nomination again is that he doesn't go one-on-one against any other candidate. Right now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is the leading one as an alternative to Trump. He wants as many alternatives, as much competition as possible. Why? Because if Trump needs to get 50% of the Republican Party's voters to win the nomination, or more than 50%, his chances go down somewhat. However, if the field of opponents is divided, as it was when he secured the nomination in 2016, then he may only need 35 or 40% of the voters to back him. With Nikki Haley in, that begins to divide the Republican Party. And with Ron DeSantis probably running, Mike Pence probably running, former Secretary of State, Pompeo probably running or possibly running, her being in the race increases, in effect, Donald Trump's chances of securing the nomination.
All right. Well, Mr. Stephen Goel, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast with all your insights on this.
Thank you.
Moving on now. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.